We just got our 10-year green card after applying for VAWA for our clients. What did this journey look like for our clients and how did we succeed? I'm U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharb, and this is exactly what we do. I'm going to tell you how to win a VAWA case. Now, at the start of this journey for our client, which was about 3 years ago, our client came to us in distress. She was with her spouse who was refusing to apply for her green card, but putting her through a lot of control and manipulation. She felt hopeless, but she reached out to me because she knows that I do this kind of work based on the videos that I do. So we talked at length and I knew the solution right away: VAWA. In case you're seeing this for the first time, I'm going to explain what VAWA is. VAWA is the Violence Against Women Act, and it was a law that was passed to protect individuals from domestic violence and abuse. Now, one of these protected classes are immigrants who have relatives or a spouse who is mistreating them here in the US. And because of that, they're able to get certain protections in order to escape the situation and empower themselves. Now, to qualify for the immigration benefits associated with VAWA, you do have to show that you're the spouse of a US citizen or a resident, that you are the parent of a US citizen who's age 21 or older and that US citizen is mistreating you, or you are the son or daughter of a US citizen who is either under 21, and in some cases, you can even apply if you're over 21, but you have not reached the age of 25 yet. Now, the Violence Against Women Act, this law has two misleading words in there that tend to mislead individuals who really need this help and relief. The first word is violence. Whenever people see the Violence Against Women Act, they think it has to involve physical violence in order for them to get relief from this, which is not true. Verbal, financial, emotional abuse also counts. And we're going to get into more details regarding that kind of abuse, the behaviors associated with this kind of mistreatment or abuse. The other thing to take note here is that the Violence Against Women Act does not mean that you have to be the victim of physical violence. And you also can show for immigration relief that you have been subjected to extreme cruelty. And this also includes mistreatment that may not necessarily involve physical harm or violence. The other misleading word here is woman. This act protects all individuals, no matter the gender, no matter the type of marriage or relationship that's involved. So men and women, sons and daughters are also protected by this act and can seek immigration relief as well. Now that I've explained that part of the VAWA, let's talk about what kinds of mistreatment and extreme cruelty can qualify you for this kind of immigration relief. The definition of mistreatment, abuse, and extreme cruelty is extensive, but I'm going to give you a detailed summary of what kind of behaviors can qualify you for this kind of relief. By the way, this kind of relief, this immigration relief, means that you will be empowered to take control of your process. That means you're the only one involved in your confidential process without involving this person, this relative or spouse who's mistreating you. Also, you would be able to get your work permit, your travel document, so you have the freedom of travel, including traveling outside of the United States. You will be able to get your green card. And here's a plus. If you are the spouse of a US citizen who mistreated you, and once you get your green card through VAWA based on this marriage to the US citizen, you will be able to apply for US citizenship in a shorter period of time, 3 years instead of the 5-year wait time. All right, so let's talk about some of the behaviors against an individual that can qualify them for VAWA. And this is exactly what my client who went through this VAWA journey experienced. She experienced some of these behaviors against her that I knew based on this, she qualified. Now, I usually refer to the power and control wheel. It does a really good job of summarizing the kinds of behaviors that can qualify one for VAWA relief based on mistreatment, abuse, and extreme cruelty. Here are some of these behaviors. Using harmful language against you. That includes name calling, manipulation, playing mind games, using manipulative words. These manipulative words could be there to invoke guilt, shame, embarrassment. Using harmful language such as lies to spread defamatory information about you, or even embarrassing information about you. If they use their social standing or their popularity to maintain control and power over your life and what you do, then that counts here as well. For example, in this case, if they're using the fact that they're a US citizen and you're not, or they're a US permanent resident and you're not, and because of that, they have the power to get you deported, that is a way that they're using their social standing to take away your power, to be able to control and manipulate you, to get you to comply with whatever they want you to do. Did you know there's such a thing as technology abuse? And yes, it counts here. If they use technology against you to mistreat you, that counts here. Are they sending unwanted text messages? Are they violating your privacy by hacking into your phone? I once had a client whose phone was actually connected to the person's phone and they didn't even know it. The spouse, whenever they took a call, the spouse got the call and could listen in on all of their calls. That's technology abuse. Are they posting things on social media or hacking into your social media account to pry into your messages or to post things that you didn't intend to post? That's also technology abuse. Are they sending lewd photos or pressuring you to send them lewd photos and then possibly even using those against you? That also falls under technology abuse. Are they using intimidation? Intimidation means they may not even hit you, but just by the way they look at you, you know that you don't want to mess with them. That's a form of intimidation, and it is meant to also keep you compliant with whatever demands they want or just compliant with their control of you. If they're smashing things in front of you, punching walls, they're destroying your property, they're also abusing others around you. It could be children, it could be those who are vulnerable, it could also be pets. Then that's a form of intimidation. I do have some clients where they would just walk around with a loaded gun in their waist. And that was enough to let my clients know that they should not mess with them. So brandishing weapons is a form of intimidation, even if you have never been hurt by those weapons. Are they blaming you for the abuse that you are being subjected to? If they minimize the abuse, if they pretend as if it never happened, they gaslighted you into thinking it's your fault or it's all in your head, then this also counts towards gaslighting, manipulation, and ways to keep this abuse going. Now, your relative or spouse may not have ever touched you physically, but are they constantly threatening to do that? Are they threatening violence against you? This also counts as abusive. And the threats can extend to beyond physical violence or threats of physical violence. It could mean that they constantly threaten to call immigration because you don't have an immigration status. You may have overstayed your visa, or you may have crossed the border without permission. They know it and they try to use it as leverage. They may also threaten to harm themselves or others, or to report you to the police or others to the police, like your relatives. This also counts as abusive threats towards you. If they are subjecting you to sexual coercion or harassment, then this also qualifies you for VAWA. If they are giving you ultimatums, you must comply with performing certain acts for them, or else you're going to be out of the house, or else they won't file those papers, or else they will call the police on you, or else they will divorce you. That is a form of sexual harassment, coercion, and abuse. Keep in mind, there are other ways that they use sexual coercion to keep you compliant. They may refuse to use protection or contraception, which can result in unwanted pregnancies, and that can keep you trapped as well. That is also a pattern of abuse and should never be discounted. Are they keeping you isolated? And that means they're cutting you off from friends and family. They're telling you who you can and cannot talk to. They're controlling whether you can even leave the house and telling you that you have to ask for permission every time you're going to leave, or they need to know everywhere you go. This is the way that they are isolating you and subjecting you to exclusion. Now, surprisingly, with physical violence, even with physical violence, sometimes victims tend to discount the extent to which they've been physically assaulted or abused. For example, I'll ask a client if they've ever been subjected to any kind of physical violence. The answer will start out to be no. But then when I break it down and I say, well, did you ever get pushed, even in the slightest? Were you shoved? Recall a time when, yes, they were arguing and the person went beyond their boundaries and pushed them. That is physical violence. It is assault. So any type of physical hitting, pushing, shoving, even if you were not physically harmed, is a form of physical violence. So, listening to this, I hope it gives you a better idea of extent to which one can qualify for VAWA and how broadly defined extreme cruelty, mistreatment, and abuse are. So now let's talk about the journey of my client going through the VAWA process. Now, we went through this process starting out with identifying the problematic behaviors that amounted to mistreatment in her case. Once we identified that, we got to work. Now, the important part of this is that we have to prepare documentation to show the extent of the mistreatment or abuse. This is where a lot of people think, I don't have any evidence that this happened to me. I can't move forward with this VAWA process. And that's where I want to stop you to say no. The first thing you need to do is talk to me. Let us decide how to proceed with your process. If you've been through any kind of situation where you experience extreme cruelty, mistreatment, or abuse, in every single instance, we've been able to apply for VAWA. And that's because immigration asks for any credible evidence. They make it very easy to submit documentation showing that it is very credible, that it is very believable that you went through this ordeal. And that can be as little as your declaration. That is your detailed statement. So with our client, that was the first thing that we did. We went ahead and we worked with her to be able to put her memories on paper. Now, this is crucial. Even if you have other evidence, it is absolutely crucial to be able to tell your story to the immigration officer, that they understand the extent to which you went through this and the impact that it had on you emotionally and physically. So once we put this together, of course, we did other things as well. We went ahead and we submitted an adjustment of status application, a work permit application that could establish her independence, a travel document application that would be able to give her the freedom to travel even outside of the United States. And within 6 months, we were able to get her work permit and her travel document. These were for 2 years. Keep in mind, when I first spoke to this client, as I speak to many of my clients, she was uncertain. She was very scared about her future here, especially being undocumented. And To see my client go from being scared, brave but scared, to take that step, still moving forward with that step, going from that to completely independent, traveling the country, enrolling in school, working with that work permit is amazing. So when we got the work permit, it came with her social security number. And that goes hand in hand with the work permit to enable them to be able to properly register with the employer and to work. Throughout this time, my client was able to relieve the stress by taking international vacations. And that was because she had the travel document. Now, the point here is that even though the VAWA process is taking anywhere from 2.5 to 3 years, within as little as 6 months of applying for VAWA, it can be life-changing. It was for my client. She was able to go from completely dependent on this spouse who mistreated her and subjected her to severe abuse, to completely independent, traveling, educating herself, and most of all, being hopeful. So even though the journey is a few years long, you will be able to see results within a short period of time and be able to maintain a quality lifestyle right up until you get the green card. By the time the work permit had expired and we were looking at renewing the work permit, we got the VAWA approval. Now, this is also a big step because the VAWA approval means that our client will have additional protections, another 2-year work permit, while she goes through the green card process. In some cases, some people have to wait until their VAWA is approved before they can apply for adjustment of status. In her case, that wasn't the case. She could apply for her green card at the same time she applied for VAWA. So what that meant is that as soon as her VAWA was approved, they automatically went on to process her green card application. Now, this is also similar for those that do have to wait. Once their VAWA is approved, they can then apply for the green card through the adjustment of status process. By that point, you're looking at another 6 months to a year until you get the green card. And that's what happened with my client. So that final step was we submitted our client's medical to immigration, and shortly thereafter, she was issued her 10-year green card. Amazing. And the story doesn't just end there. Once my client is ready in 3 years, she'll be able to apply for US citizenship. And from there, her immigration journey will be complete. It's such an honor to walk through this journey with my clients, to properly guide them through the process so that they can go through a smooth, straightforward, successful process. I really hope that this video was helpful to you. For those of you who have yet to go through your journey, just note that there is hope. There is a way for you to maintain independence, to take full control of your life. A third party, like a spouse or another relative, does not have to take control of you to get your green card. Give us a call. We can help.